Hello there, gang, and I hope the new year's been treating you well so far. Kawaii50 here with another Fate Grand Order video, and now that most of you have likely finished the Case Files rerun event, I feel like it's about time for us to talk about Hephaestion, our first 4-star pretender. We're going to be going over her allies, craft essences, and command codes so you can ensure that one of Iskandar's loyal retainers becomes a powerful asset on your team. Hopefully, this video ends up helping you out. If it does, please like, subscribe, share. All of those things really do help me out here on the channel, and maybe this year we'll hit those coveted 10,000 subs. I'd appreciate all of your help. Hephaestion comes equipped with 1 quick, 2 arts, and 2 buster cards with a single target arts noble phantasm. Couple of things to note here before we get into her stats. Since Pretender is relatively new, let me just go ahead and reiterate that this class deals 2 times damage to alter egos, beasts, and berserkers, and 1.5 times damage to sabers, archers, and lancers. It deals far less damage to riders, casters, assassins, and foreigners. So keep that in mind when you end up building your team around Hephaestion. When it comes to Hephaestion stats, the most impressive thing is her noble phantasm gain. I know the 0.59% doesn't necessarily seem like a lot, but her arts cards hit 3 times. She has the ability to arts brave chain with her noble phantasm and get a super solid refund, and we're gonna add on top of that, she has passive abilities to increase her arts card effectiveness and noble phantasm damage. You go ahead and you tie that all together, and it is highly likely that your Hephaestion is going to be looping and looping and looping with the best of them, and we haven't even got into her skills yet. So already this servant is looking incredibly impressive. Are you starting to see why I considered her one of the best 4 stars of this year? Let's move on. Hephaestion's first skill is He Too is Iskandar, False, rank A. This increases her arts and buster card effectiveness by 20 to 30% for 3 turns, and grants her class advantage against caster class enemies. Something very important because it continues to open up her options when it comes to damaging enemies. I'm going to go ahead and recommend you max this second, since a 10% increase, even though it's on her 2 primary card types, isn't as enticing as another skill we're going to look at in just a sec. But a 6-turn cooldown on this is actually very, very nice. You'll actually get to use that caster class affinity more often than not. Hephaestion's second skill hasn't made an appearance in a while, but it is a welcome return. Rapid Words of Divine rank B increases her noble phantasm gauge by 60 to 120%. That's right, we get an on-demand noble phantasm steroid. We are absolutely going to go ahead and max this first to get the maximum noble phantasm gain, because this ends up opening up quite a few options when it comes to Hephaestion's craft essences. Not needing to rely on a 50% charge is going to allow us to use some supremely powerful options, and I think you already might know what I'm talking about if you're an FGO vet. Hephaestion's final skill is Nameless's Blessing rank EX. This gives her 1 turn of target focus and increases her defense by 30 to 50% for that single turn. This also ups her noble phantasm gain by 20 to 30%, which is really, really neat considering everything I have previously mentioned, and this also has the detriment of absorbing curse status effects from all of Hephaestion's allies. This is Hephaestion's defensive option, and thank the gods her other 2 skills are so good, because this one is really, really bad. Odds are your Hephaestion is going to need to rely on some support in order to keep her alive as your primary damage dealer. Max this skill blast, honestly, if you do so at all. I feel like you could honestly completely avoid this. Checking out Hephaestion's Append skills, she actually benefits from every single one of them. Extra attack boost is incredibly helpful for a servant designed to murder bosses and brave chain whenever possible, so that's going to be a good pickup to start with. Low magical energy allows her to begin battle with a 10 to 20% noble phantasm gauge charge. The funny thing is, even though I consider this great and nearly priority on every single servant, it is not nearly as important on Hephaestion Hephaestion as her other two Append skills, just because of how effective that Rapid Words of Divine is. So if you're low on coins, you could honestly ignore Load Magical Energy for the first time in forever. I never thought I would say that, but here we are. And why is this lower priority? Well, she also gets anti-Lancer attack up, dealing an extra 20 to 30% special attack damage to Lancer class enemies. She already deals 1.5 times damage to all of the Knight classes, so giving her this extra little bit of bonus damage against Lancers is going to ultimately open up her offensive options.
我が名はヘファイスティオン。史上最も偉大なる征服王イスカンダル第一の腹心なり。いざかけよヘカティックホイール。
And that super neat noble phantasm was Hecatic Wheel. This deals 900 to 1500% damage to a single enemy and decreases their arts and buster resist by 10% for 3 turns, allowing Hephaestion to deal extra damage in prolonged fights with her primary card types. The overcharge effect is increasing Hephaestion's Noble Phantasm strength before any of the damage is dealt. You're going to get anywhere from a 10 to a 50% increase. Hephaestion, like with many other servants, benefits the biggest jump in damage from Noble Phantasm 1 to Noble Phantasm 2, but considering the ability of Rapid Words of Divine to overcharge into 120%, I would say this is one of those servants out there where getting NP2 is paramount. Seriously, with her in particular, get as many Noble Phantasm copies as you can. Try to get her to 5 if at all possible. She is going to benefit from that ability to overcharge essentially on demand, and you're going to see some great damage against those bosses because of it. Hephaestion's premier ally is going to be our beloved Castoria. Castoria grants her essentially everything she could ever want, from an arts effectiveness boost, to an NP charge on demand, to a really good invincibility option that is far better than her pitiful defense increase she has on her 3rd skill. So Castoria is going to be your main go-to. If you are lacking a Castoria or the ability to double Castoria, any sort of art supporter will do. But Castoria is going to be your primary focus to maximize Hephaestion's effectiveness. When it comes to craft essences, the veterans could already see this coming. The Black Grail is indisputably Hephaestion's best in slot. An 80% Noble Phantasm strength bonus, coupled with a, at base, 20% Noble Phantasm strength bonus if you combine that with both her Noble Phantasm overcharge effect and her just passive increase. This is what we want to see for Hephaestion. That Noble Phantasm is the main way she's going to deal damage, pump up its damage whenever possible. If you lack a Black Grail and are looking for a more freebie option, I would recommend Ocean Flyer as her best in slot for a freebie option. You don't necessarily need the starting 50% NP gauge. The main bonuses you're getting here are that 8% arts card effectiveness and that 15% Noble Phantasm strength boost from a Max Limit Broken option. The fact that this also has all of its points put into attack, just like the Black Grail, is going to be another benefit for you. If you are lacking both of those options, then my best recommendation for you would be New Beginnings. This is a starting Noble Phantasm gauge and 15% arts card effectiveness and a critical strength boost to boot. Hephaestion's star weight is fairly average, so you should be able to see some damage from crits, but this is just not nearly as good of an option as the other two that I just recommended. Just making the best of a bad situation. And finally, command codes. You are going to want critical star absorption on both of Hephaestion's arts cards so you can maximize their damage as well as maximize her Noble Phantasm refund. Colonel Automaton is really good for this, granting a 50% absorption and a critical damage boost. You can also give her something like Armament of Victory for just a pure, powerful critical star absorption boost. When it comes to Hephaestion's Buster cards, you're going to want to look at ways to deal additional damage if at all possible. I quite like Cursed Spear that reverses causality on her since she doesn't have any sort of ignore evasion or ignore invincibility. This can be a great bonus on her, granting some additional critical damage. I would also like to recommend Empress of the Hanging Gardens on her. This is a 10% Noble Phantasm damage boost and 2 extra critical stars. The main reason I recommend this is if you're unable to get yourself that full Arts Brave chain for the refund, you can at least pump up her Noble Phantasm damage a little extra to try and take out your enemy if at all possible. Go ahead and use this card first, follow it up with a Noble Phantasm and hopefully another Arts card, and between that second Arts card that you used as well as the extra attack, you might be able to refund Hephaestion's NP from that overkill damage. When it comes to the quick card, super duper simple, just increase that star drop rate. That's the only reason you're going to be using that card. It is your least desirable card, so something like Code Glitter is really all that you need. Overall, gang, Hephaestion is an incredible addition to the Pretender class and a just excellent all-around boss and giant enemy slayer. She can take out all of those bosses with the best of them, and the fact that we got access to another Pretender so soon after Oberon is honestly surprising to me. I would highly recommend rolling for her if you are missing any sort of Pretender to go ahead and try to fill out that class. I know Oberon is mostly used for support. You can use him to take down things like alter egos and beasts if necessary, if the situation calls for it, but overall Hephaestion is going to be the better pick for that. Truly a stellar servant with a stellar design, one of the best FAs in the entire game. Hephaestion is absolutely worth summoning. But of course, I want to know what you all think, so let me know your thoughts on Hephaestion down in the comment sections below. Let me know if you think there are any allies, craft essences, or command codes I might have missed, and if you ended up rolling for her during the Case Files rerun that's up right now, let me know how many copies you managed to get. I've thrown quite a few tickets at her and haven't been able to get a single copy as of yet, so I hope your luck was a lot better than mine. As you head down to the comment section, be sure to check out the Discord, the Patreon, and the Ko-fi. Huge thanks to everyone on those platforms for all of their support, and a big thanks to all of you on YouTube here as well for continuing to watch my videos. We're going to be trying to pump out more videos on average this year in comparison to streams. Streaming didn't necessarily do that well last year, so we're going to be focusing mainly on videos, stuff you can just watch whenever you want. Anyways, gang, that's it for me, Kawaii50. I hope you all have a phenomenal day, and I'll see you all in the next one.